Welcome to this tutorial on modeling a biped character. This is going to be a cartoonish kind of character and humanoid, and we're also going to, in addition to modeling it, we're going to create a basic IK and FK rig. So we're going to animate it a little bit, doing a little walk, maybe a little dance. We'll see how it goes. So go ahead and open up Maya. We want to create a project window, so go to File, Project Window, and we're going to set our project to wherever you like to save it. I prefer, at least for this, to go to the desktop and select, and then let's call it Maya Biped. And there you can see the location is in the desktop, and that will create a project window by that name. And so you can go to your desktop and take a look. There it is, Maya Biped. And if you go in that should show you that you have the project window, and everything that you need or save will all be classified into the proper folder. So let's go ahead and save this project, this scene, and let's name it, give it a file name, name it biped_1, because we're going to be doing different versions of it. So let's get started on modeling it. We're going to be modeling this biped starting with a primitive sphere, and then we're going to be extruding and modeling and then altering it all along the way, sculpting it and shaping it to create a basic cartoon character. So let's go up to Create, and let's go into Polygon Primitives, and under Sphere let's go to the option box, and you'll see the sphere options default to 20 axis divisions and 20 height divisions. We want to make this a lower poly than that, so let's pick 12 for both the axis divisions and the height divisions, and then click on Create. And the reason I want to do that is because that's the division of the shape that's low poly, but it's symmetrical in the way that we need it to be for this. Now this grid kind of visually gets in the way, so let's get rid of that. Go under Show and then down to Grid and uncheck Grid, and then press F to bring it to center and zoomed in. And we can rotate this so that we're just going to be selecting the bottom circle here, and we're going along with the center here, and that's where we're going to begin our extrusions. So we can use down here in the left corner, we can use that to orient our axes. And so let's go ahead and right click on that and go into the vertex mode, and let's do a selection box around just that lower row, and let's move that with the W key, move that up a little bit to create sort of a quasi chin jawline from there. Now right click again, and let's go into the faces mode, and let's rotate that up a little bit. Use your paint selection tool over here on the left, and if that's too big, then you can always press on the B key to make it larger or smaller. So just get it to a comfortable size where you paint select those polygons. Okay, and then let's rotate that back up a little bit so we can still see it. From there we're going to start extruding the neck. So go under Edit Mesh and click on Extrude. Now this, you can see these tools are at an angle. We don't want that. We want it like we did with the bird. If you were doing the bird tutorial, we want to go straight down. So press the W key and that'll center it up, and we'll be going straight down with it. So that's the beginning of the neck. And since the extrude tool was our last tool, press G and that'll automatically set us up to do another extrude. But again, we want to go straight down with it. And this is the beginning of the trapezius. Yes, even the simple character has a trapezius. Okay, so go down just a little bit on that, and maybe a little bit more, and then we're going to scale it out. So press the R key and we'll scale it in all directions like we're creating a trapezius up above the shoulders there. Okay, now let's rotate it around, and that's pretty good from the front, but we don't want it to go that far out towards the chest area. So let's just rotate it about 90 degrees and let's pull in that chest and back area to more correctly show what a humanoid would look like. Okay, and then from there, let's press G again. We're going to do another extrude, W, press down, and then we're going to bring this out to the shoulders. So press the R key, and we're just going to go one direction to start with, to go out and create the top of the shoulders. And then let's extrude it again and bring this down a little bit to create a shoulder area. And I'm going to move this up so it's a little bit more visible. And after, see, we're going to be extruding the shoulders out here, the arms out from the shoulder area on both sides. Okay, now we want to create the body. So let's extrude again for the body, the torso, and let's take it all the way down here. Let's create another little area for the hip area. Let's bring that down, and that'll be a little hip area. And then let's move it back so we can see a little bit more of it. Now at this point we're going to want to separate it to create legs. We're going to be doing a little cutting and deleting and creating. So if you've still got these faces selected, just click delete, and then we're going to fill this hole. So right click on it, and we're going to go into the edge mode and shift select all these bottom edges. You know, if you've still got one of your tools showing, press Q and that'll be just the select tool. So shift, you'll see the little plus sign there. Just be careful that you only select those on the very bottom edge of the object. Again, we're shift selecting those. So rotate it around, make sure those are the only ones that you've selected. Then go up under the mesh drop down and click on fill hole. Okay, so now you can see we have filled that, and it's just become a new polygon. Now what we want to do is divide this so that it goes out to some legs, that we can create some legs. First of all, I think we want to scale this in a little bit, so let's go ahead and press R and let's scale it in the X direction just a little bit to get started. And again, we're going to be doing a lot of tweaking on this to make it more humanoid. Okay, now at this point we want to do a multi-cut. So press Q, and as a matter of fact, let's go into the object mode, right click on it. We're in the object mode, and we're going to cut a couple of lines here, create some new polygons with new lines, and so that we'll have legs that we can extrude out. Go up to Mesh Tools and select Multi-Cut. And what we're going to do, like I said, is create a place where we can extrude the legs. So go up here, right, and we're going to do it from side to side, here to here. So click there, somewhere around there, and a corresponding spot in the back, then hit enter. You have to hit enter to get out of that tool mode. Press G, and we don't want it to go here. Well, that wouldn't hurt too much, but we want to try to get it right about here. Create a new line and then go down here and then press enter. Okay, so now we have a space between the legs, and then we have the legs themselves. And let's press Q to go to the select tool. And let's take a look at that. That's looking pretty good, and he's pretty skinny. Looks kind of like a canteen or something with a big cap, but we'll work on that. Okay, so the way we're looking at this now, this is the front view. We're kind of building him from the side. So let's rotate him so we're oriented so this is facing the front. If you built it so this is the front, then that's fine. The top view, let's rotate that 90 degrees in the Y direction over the Y axis. Good. All right, now let's go back into the perspective view and orient ourselves so that X is going to the left, and this is the way we want to look at it. Now let's make that chest a little bit bigger. So let's do the vertex, and from here down, let's make that chest and torso pull out a little bit. And this will be the front, so we want to bring let's bring the belly out a little bit this way. Just a little bit. And maybe a little bit of butt too. Okay. All right, now we've got our bottom and we're ready to extrude some legs out. So let's select these 6 vertices, because we want to kind of bevel it inward. Press the R key, and then we're just kind of pull those in a little bit to give it more of a humanoid shape. Probably go a little bit more. And then let's just select these 2, shift select, and then bring that in a little bit more too. And then let's select these 4, shift select. And I want to scale those outward a little bit. And so now we want to bring those 4 much closer together to create kind of a shape for the leg. Looks like it needs to be rotated a little bit. Yours may or may not, just to make it look more uniform. All right, now let's go ahead and extrude from there. I think these could go in a little bit closer. Good. Okay. Now from there, we're going to make some legs. So right click on it. Let's go to the face mode, select, and then shift select. And we're going to extrude it. Let's rotate that down, and we're going to use the move tool to bring it down. That'll be where the knees are. And then let's extrude again, straight down from the knees down to the feet. Let's take a look at that, looking pretty good. And then we need to create some feet from there. So let's just extrude once more. Bring it down, and that'll be what we'll build the feet from. Okay, so let's select the front here, of just the front of the two legs where we're starting the feet, and then extrude out from there, straight out. There, we got some feet. And we can tweak that a little bit so that it's more rounded for when we get smoothed as well. So let's go into the vertex mode. Let's go in tighter on that so we can see it better. And let's just use the paint select tool here. And let's select just these. And let's move those out to make it closer to the look of a foot or a shoe. And let's do the same thing and deselect those. And now we're going to do the same with the other sides. Mine's a little bit off from symmetry, but we'll take care of that. Yours might be too. So let's do the paint select tool, select those. And let's pull it out right about there. And let's do the same with this side. You can do a selection box or whatever works for you. Get it closer to symmetry. All right, well, that's good enough. Okay, so now we've got the whole body. We just need to start working on creating a set of arms. And let's do just that. So let's go into the sides. What we want to do is let's get these out and more even. Kind of like what we did with the feet. Let's do a paint selection tool and select these, and we can do that same on this side. And we just again want to kind of even it out. Let's look at it from the top view and just move those out so that they are, with using the scale tool, move them out so that they're a little more even to start with on the shoulder. That looks pretty good. Let's go back into the perspective view. And we want to go into the faces mode. So right click, face, and let's select and shift select the arm sockets. Same on the other side. Make sure that these are the only things that you have selected. You can go into the wireframe mode and make sure. Okay, that looks good. All right, so we're going to extrude. Go into your extrude tool and press R. So we're going to scale them out the same amount. So straight out and to where the elbow would be. And let's extrude again. Straight out to where the wrist would be. So we want to kind of bevel that down a little bit for the beginnings of a hand. Let's extrude again to create the palm of the hand. And where the thumb will be. And at this point now we want to use the multi-cut tool to create the fingers. And again, this is going to be very, very crude and rudimentary, but I think it's a great start for creating a biped. So click off of those, and then let's go into the shaded mode So we need to create some fingers now, and we need to have some separation between them so we can extrude them out. So let's go in close on here. Let's go into the object mode, and we want our multi-cut. Okay, so we're going to have to go in real tight and cut enough so that the fingers will be separated. So we start here for the pinky. Make sure that that's the way we want to go. Yeah, okay. The pinky will be here. Now we've got the feet facing forward this way, so we got to get ourselves oriented. So start off with the pinky. Go there and there. Enter. And then we need another one here to separate the pinky from the ring finger. There and there. And so we got that. Now we need the separation between the ring finger and the middle finger. If it goes to there, then you need to get off of that. We need another separation from the middle finger and the index. If it clicks on that vertex that you don't want it on, then just press Z back up until it allows you to redo it. Okay, so this is good. Now we want to do the other side as well. Again, make sure we're oriented correctly. This is where the thumb's going to be and the pinky's this in back. All right, so and these aren't exactly straight, but we can always tweak them a little bit afterwards. Okay, so let's go back to the what is the left hand, and we can extrude these out. And if we need to do any tweaking now, we can. Might want to do that. Let's go into vertex mode, and let's get out of the multi-cut, and let's scale these down so they'll come out a little more rounded. So let's turn that, select those, let's scale them down in size so a little more square, and the same with the other side. That'll look good. All right, now since we're on this side, let's go ahead and extrude those. Go to the face, and let's select these individually. Just the squares, not the parts in between. That's going to stay where it is. And let's extrude those out with the move tool. And we'll just give them one knuckle. We're going to keep this real basic. Let's extrude it again. Okay. And let's give this character a thumb as well. Let's do a couple extrudes on that. So let's rotate that around so we can kind of get a good orientation. Now a thumb will normally come out a little bit, and we can rotate that a little bit. Use the rotate tool to rotate it so it's oriented, and then let's move it forward a little bit, and let's also scale it down a little bit as well, in mostly this direction and this direction. And let's move it down a little tiny bit to more closely resemble a human thumb. We can scale it down a little bit more. And let's extrude it again. Just give it one knuckle like we did the others. Let's go and tighten, look at that. Okay. And we can bring it down a little bit, and we can scale it down a little bit more. Okay. So it looks more closely like an opposing thumb. And let's do the same on the other side. And we could have extruded the fingers out at the same time on both sides, but it's good practice to do them separately as well. So faces mode, shift select, and let's extrude them out once. And let's look from the top to see that they're pretty much the same size. They don't have to be perfect, but we don't want them inordinately different in size and length. Extrude again. So it goes a little bit more than one quadrant on the grid. That looks pretty good. Now let's make another thumb. Select that one. And let's extrude it out a little bit. And again, let's look at the top so we can compare. Bring it out a little bit more, and then we can scale it in all directions. Let's rotate it a little bit and move it a little bit forward this way. And let's extrude again. Bring it out a little bit more. Let's scale it in all directions again a little bit. Of course, we're doing it from the top now. It's a little bit different from the way we did this side, the way we did the other side. And it's not really quite the same, so let's fix that. Let's go into here, and it is a little bit longer, this thumb. So let's go into the, let's just move it back a little bit, and let's go into the vertex mode, and then select all these, and then let's move them back towards the thumb to more closely resemble the other thumb. I think we can also rotate that a little bit, just kind of eyeballing it, and that's pretty good. Okay, so let's take a look at that. That's pretty much our basic humanoid model, and we can make the pinkies a little bit smaller, but let's take a look at it now. Go back to the object mode and select key, and let's do sort of a preview smoothing of it. Okay, so press the 3 key, and there it is. Click off of it, and then you can look at it, and there's your very basic 3D cartoon character. And again, it's going to take a lot more tweaking to make it. And it depends on what you want to make with it as well. So I think the first thing I would like to do is just make that head so it's not so perfectly round. Select it, press 1 to get out of the preview mode for smoothing. And let's work a little bit on that head. Let's make it maybe a little bit less round. So let's go into vertex mode, and let's select just these and move them in a little bit, just a little bit. And let's create the beginnings of a brow and a nose. And let's pull this in for a brow, beginnings of a kind of a forehead and a brow. And let's select this and bring it out just a little bit for the beginnings of a cheek and a nose. Let's select these, bring them in a little bit and up just a little bit. And then let's make a mouth out of this. Actually, first of all, let's bring this down a little bit to give more of an accent, like a nose, these here. And we can also, and then let's look at this from the front again. Let's go into object mode and go in here, and let's go into vertex, and let's create our mouth right here. And again, it's going to be very, very crude. Let's select that one vertex, and we're going to go into the edit mesh and detach. Okay, now go in tight on that, and you can see it's still selected, but it's now 4 vertices. So let's click off of it and press the W key, and we're going to see which one we've got. Okay, we've got that one, and then let's click off of it and then select another one and bring that up. And then we got these two. We can just do a little tiny selection box and bring those down a little bit. Now that we've got those two selected, all we're doing is creating a mouth, and so a real basic opening. So we have those both selected, and we want to combine them. So go under Edit Mesh and Merge. Okay. And now if we click off it and then select it, let's see if those actually are merged. Yes, they are, without having to draw a selection box around them. And the same with this one. Let's do a tiny little selection box. Make sure always, if you do something like that, that you're not selecting anything in the back. And you'll know right away too if your tool is centered right there, because if you got anything else selected, it's going to go in the between the two. Okay, and then let's do that same tool of merge. Click on G, and then that does the last tool that we did. Click off of it to check it, and let's see if we, yeah, good. Okay, so bring those down pretty close together, and then we've got a mouth. And from there we can create the eyes, and we can make a more definite nose. Let's go ahead and put a couple of eyeballs in there. Let's go into the object mode. Okay, click off of it. And well, let's create a sphere, and let's bring that over. That's going to become our eye. So let's rotate that by about 90 degrees, rotating in the X direction. Let's put -90 on that, so it's exact. And let's scale that down to reasonable eyeball size. And let's put it in roughly in the place where we're going to be putting it on his face. We'll just assume this is a guy at this point. I hope that doesn't offend anybody. All right. Make him a little more wide-eyed. And we can always shape the head so that it is more uniform in how it comes out. And so let's do that right now. That's a pretty good position for the eye. And let's shape the head a little bit. Right click, go into vertex mode, and let's select this one, and this one, because they'll affect the shape of the head, and the same on the other side as well. And let's move those out with the move tool, out just a little bit, and then let's bring them in just a little bit as well with the scale tool. Just enough so that it kind of helps mitigate that shape. Let's go into object mode, select that eyeball, and we're going to change the color to make an eyeball color. So right click on it, go down, assign new material, and let's make it a blend. Let's make that whiter color and a little bit shiny, and then that's pretty good. Now we're going to create a pupil. So let's go into the face mode and go in tight on that and just select a section for the pupil. With the paint selection tool, we need that much smaller. And let's make the pupil pretty big right here, kind of outsized like that, getting two sections. And right click on it, assign new material, and let's choose a blend for that also, and let's make that black. Okay, now we should call that pupil. I didn't name that other one, but we can always do that. Pupils, because we're going to use that for the other one as well. Okay, and let's open up the hypershade under rendering editors, and we've got blend 1. Let's rename that the sclera, or the white of the eye, but sclera is correct. All right, and I'm going to move the hypershade to the side here. All right, so now let's go into the object mode, and we've got that selected. Let's duplicate it, Command D, move it to the opposite direction, just pretty much mirror image, try to eyeball that, and that looks reasonable. And just for grins, let's select all that, and let's do a smooth, press 3, and so we've got, like I said, a very rudimentary character, not highly defined, but workable. I think I'd like to bring that forehead above the eyes a little bit further out. So let's select it again, press escape, and we can unsmooth those eyes as well. All right, and again, let's bring that forehead out a little bit more. Right click, vertex, and let's select these here and just pull it out a little bit, and I think that works. Let's look at it in perspective again. Object mode. Good. Okay, that's fine for now. So I want to tweak this just a little bit. Let's select these two here, and then shift select these two over here on this side, and let's scale it in, make it look a little less awkward. Good. Okay, that works. All right, and I want to scale the front down here of the shoes a little bit, and that's good if they're curling up just a tiny bit, but let's bring it down just a little bit. Good. Okay, and just being a little bit OCD, let's bring the pinkies in just a tiny bit. And let's go into the top and these four, and let's move those in a little bit, and let's do the same on the other side. And for now I just want to do the pinky, but you might want to do with more detail on your final version. Okay. Good. All right. So let's save that as it is. Go into the object mode. Let's preview it again. Press 3. Look at it. That looks better. All around. I didn't smooth the eyes at this time, but and we will end this tutorial there, and we'll get into a little more tweaking maybe of the body, but primarily in the next tutorial we'll be adding a simple skeleton system.